Lesson 8.3 is about working backwards with perimeter. So we're going to start off talking about a rectangle here, and we saw this in our last lesson that the perimeter of a rectangle, because the lengths and the widths are the same, we could do 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So there actually is a formula for this, and if you look at your formula sheet for this unit, which you should have either gotten or printed out at this point, you should be able to find the rectangle and be able to find this formula on there. L represents the length and W represents the width. So what we can do is use this to actually work backwards here. So in this one, when we talk about length, we usually call that across the bottom, the longer side, and then the width is the one that's going up and down. So we're going to go ahead, write down our formula, which is 2L plus 2W. Our perimeter we actually know is 121. So we're going to plug that in place of P. We do not know our length, so we're going to leave that L. Plus 2 times we do know the W is 17. So from here, we are solving our equations. We're going to go ahead and drop a line down. I don't have like terms to do, but I do need to multiply 2 times 17, which will give me 34. To separate the L and try and isolate that, because that's my variable, I'm going to take 121 and subtract the 34, which will leave me with 87, which is equal to 2L. And I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2 on both sides, leaving me with 43.5 to be my L value. So my length is 43.5 inches here. In the next one, this is just a words. We don't actually have any information, so we can just go ahead and jump into our formula, which is 2L plus 2W. We know the perimeter is 300, so we're going to plug that in. And we also know the width, so we're leaving our length as our variable, and 2 times 60 here. So just like before, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 2 times 60, which will give me 120. Simplifying before I try and add or subtract, multiply, divide, because those are final steps. So minusing the 120 on both sides, I'm going to get 180 is equal to 2L. Dividing through by 2, I learned that 90 is equal to L. So my length is going to be 90, and I do need to put a unit with it, so that's just going to be yards. Those are the first 2 examples using your rectangle perimeter formula. This one's a little bit more complicated. The length of a rectangle is 3 less than twice the width. So the perimeter is 54 inches. So we know the perimeter is 54. Find the length and width of the rectangle. So the length uses the width. So we're just going to call W the width W. And for our length, it says it's 3 less. 3 less tells me that I'm going to be subtracting 3. And the next part, the than part, tells me what I'm subtracting it from. Twice the width. Twice means times 2. So if I'm multiplying the width times 2, we're going to call that 2W. So the length is going to be 2W minus 3. So my perimeter formula is 2L plus 2W. I'm going to start to plug in. Perimeter is 54. 2 times, since L is is what we call an expression, I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses, plus 2 times W, and W is just W. Looking at this one and following those equation rules from before, we are going to have to distribute here before we can start to solve. So I'm distributing my 2 out, which is going to give me 4W minus 6 plus 2W is equal to 54. My next step is to combine my like terms. I do have W's here. 4W plus 2W is 6W minus 6, still equal to 54. I'm just down to a 2-step now, so I'm going to add 6 on both sides, leaving me with 60 is equal to 6W. Divide through by 6, and we get 10 is equal to W. So we can say our width is 10, and did it give us units here? 54 inches, so our width would be 10 inches. And we can go back, since we found W was 10, to W, so 2 times 10 minus 3, which will give us 20 minus 3, so that's going to be 17. So our length is 17 inches. Yes, you could do this with guess and check. However, in an advanced pre-algebra course, the concept is for you to be able to write and solve an equation, especially using our formula. So moving forward, I would expect to see a formula with these different expressions filled in and the equation solved here. Couple non-rectangular examples for you, so we can actually solve for the variable using the given information. For this one, our perimeter is 17. So when we're doing perimeter, we would just add up the sides. So we would have 8 plus 6 plus k, and that's got to all add up to give us 17. So if I'm actually writing an equation here, I'm going to have 14 plus k, so k is going to be equal to 3. For a basic one like this, I'm perfectly fine if you just realize 8 and 16 is 14 and you want to write down 17 minus 14. That's acceptable for a very basic one like this. Over here, I'm noticing that I have two sides that are equal to each other. This side's labeled H, so this side is also labeled H. This one, while it seems pretty easy on the beginning, we are going to actually have to write an equation for. We have two sides that are H, plus we have that 4-foot side, and we know our perimeter is going to equal to 16. Solving my two-step equation, I subtract 4 on both sides, divide through by 2, and I get that each of those H sides is going to be 6 feet then. You can do a quick check. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 4 more is up to 16 then. For this one, it's way more complicated. We know our perimeter is 17, and these are our 3 sides. So we're going to write down our 3 sides, x plus 1, x plus 4, and x plus 3. We have to add those 3 sides together, and they're going to add up to give us 17. Combine your like terms here. So I see 3x. I have a positive 1, a positive 4, and a positive 3. So that'll give us a positive 8. That's going to be equal to 17. We subtract 8 on both sides. I'm left with 3x is equal to 9. Dividing through by 3, I get x equals 3. So if x is 3, I would go back and plug that in. 3 plus 4 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. 3 plus 3 is 6. So side BC is BC. This is going to be 6 inches. Side CD is right here. It's going to be 7 inches. And BD is 4 inches. Using that same strategy here, I'm going to ask you to write and solve your equation in example number 7. I'm going to ask you to calculate just x for the time being. So for 7, I would do 9 plus 1 plus x plus 2x minus 4 and set that equal to my perimeter of 30. Combining my like terms, I have x plus 2x. That's going to give me 3x. A 9 plus 9 is 18, 1 more is 19, and then minus 4 is going to give me 15. So plus 15 is equal to 30. Subtracting 15 on both sides, dividing by 3, I get x is equal to 5. Plugging that back in, this is going to be 6. 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 minus 4 is also 6. So side EF is going to be 6 yards, and side CD is going to be 6 yards. On this last one, you're going to do the same thing. So we have x plus 6 plus 3 plus 6x minus 5 is equal to 18. Combining my like terms together, I have 7x. 6 plus 3 is 9 minus 5 is a plus 4 is equal to 18. And looking at this one, subtract 4 on both sides. We're going to get 14 here. Dividing through by 7, I get x is equal to 2. So if this side is 2, this side is 6 times 2 minus 5. 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 minus 5 is going to give me 7. So side TU is 7 inches, and side TS is 2 inches. And that is it for this lesson that we have then.